From Hamilton, the 110th Grey Cup is underway. Dustin Neilson and Marshall Ferguson with you here on the TSN Radio Network. Janarian Grant takes the opening kick. Back to the 40, 45 before he is wrapped up, and that is where we will get our first look at Zach Collaros.
The 12th special teams tackle of the season as well for Tyrell Richards, who had the pick six of Zach Collaros when they played earlier this season. Zach comes out onto the field, completing 69% of his passes, 33 touchdowns this season, 15 interceptions, but he is certainly going to lean on this running game. You have to think early on, Dustin.
He did not have a touchdown pass last week. He did not have a touchdown pass in the Grey Cup last year. Prukop with a couple of rushing touchdowns, special teams action for the Bombers as well. We'll see what he's got up his sleeve for us here. 65 yards away from 1,000 yards in his Grey Cup career. And of course, they will hand it off to start. Decent chunk right up the middle to Brady Oliveira.
And who else? Darnell Sankey making the tackle on the first running play. If Winnipeg is going to have any trouble tonight being able to run the rock, it's because number one, Sankey's in charge. Dalton Schoen, first snap of the game, lines up on the wide side. Looks like a decoy on the first snap. They just ran him into an isolated spot, left him lost of space.
Decoy all night, right?
Yeah. We'll see.
We'll see. Dalton Schoen, surprise start in this Grey Cup. Winnipeg Blue Bombers in the whites, going left to right here in the first quarter. Collaros looking to pass. He does, has a completion, and that'll be enough for a first down as he gets it into the hands of Nick Dembski.
And Nick Dembski, one of the latest players in CFL history to have a 1,000-yard receiving year, 8th year in the league. He does it this time, adds onto it in the Grey Cup by just settling down a little bit to the outside shoulder of Darnell Sankey. Was all over it, but enough space there between Sankey and Seontae Evans, the veteran, at that defensive halfback spot to create a first down.
7 yards to Dembski, an all-Canadian start here for Winnipeg as they go on the ground with Brady Oliveira through the air for Dembski. 1st and 10 on the 53, back to Brady Oliveira, breaks one tackle, pushes ahead, gets a little bit of help, and he comes up just shy, I believe, of another Winnipeg first down.
It looks like Andrew Harris popping up onto his feet, slapping the helmet and running out of the pile as well, as it looks like the big team will come off the sideline here. Some substitutions.
He gave him the first down. What an effort, because when was first contact there? About 3 yards?
3, 4 yards,
yeah.
maybe down the field, and then Brady just got the legs turning and rolled it, and you knew when they brought in the fullback they were likely going to go ahead and push it.
Would you try to get Sankey moving side to side here?
You got to do something to
like
move
wear him down a bit?
If he's playing between the tackles, he's as good as anybody in the Canadian Football League over the last 5 years.
Schoen and Dembski in the slot to the wide side left here of Collaros. Back to Brady Oliveira, wrapped up this time. Short pickup on first down.
While Uguak making the play that time, this first round pick, 7th overall for the Alouettes after the Jamal Davis trade, jumped into the lineup, has a lot of knockdowns, pretty active as well, and he just gets outside of the block. That time missed by Jarmarcus Hardrick, but the activity of Uguak has certainly changed his defensive front for the Alouettes over the last couple months.
He's been mentioned a lot lately on those games out east, watching that, seeing a lot of what he's been able to do since getting an elevated role in this excellent Montreal defense. 2nd and 7. First drive of the ball game, and this is a big play here. They're going to bring a little bit of heat. Collaros with time in the pocket, over the middle again, and that should be just enough for a first down. And look who it is, Dalton Schoen with his first catch of the game.
Well, 111 targets in the regular season. Haven't seen him in a while, but 10 touchdowns on the year and another conversion on second down. Again, a little crossing route, just settles down underneath the coverage. Didn't need a lot. Collaros looks it off deep to short, finds the underneath, but over the last couple of years, Dalton Schoen has been a godsend for this Winnipeg Blue Bombers offensive passing game.
Schoen does trot off the field here. They seem to be moving okay, actually. We haven't seen him crank it up to maybe that 10th level just yet, but he's got it into the ball game and will now have to be kept in check by the Montreal Alouettes. 1st and 10 from the 33, back into the belly of Oliveira, cuts it back, finds some space, right up the middle, first down Winnipeg. Brady Oliveira eating early here in the game.
And I tell you what, I just saw Kenny Lawler take Tyrese Beverette for a walk. He washed him all the way down. It's not just the offensive line for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. A huge cutback left to right. Brady Oliveira finds the running room, says, I'll do it myself. Turns the legs once again. It takes Marc-Antoine Dequoy, finally the free safety, coming down to finish him off. But the receivers active in the running game here early on.
This is the threat of giving Winnipeg the ball early. You brought it up right at the beginning. Montreal's defense would love to hold them to a Castillo field goal attempt. 1st and 10 from the Alouette 19. This time, Dembski, he is tripped up. Sean Lemon was there to disrupt him. Back to the line of scrimmage and no further.
And that was a peak Noel Thorpe call, defensive coordinator for the Montreal Alouettes. He lines up with everybody flatline on that defensive front, says, yeah, we're playing man coverage, go ahead. We think you're gonna run it, go ahead and run it however you want. We'll just space out all the gaps. And Sean Lemon is the man on the outside who decides to turn Nick Dembski back to the inside. Might be a slight loss on this one. Looks like they got 2nd and real long.
Yeah, backed him up just a little bit here. It'll be 2nd and 11. Polaris, 3 options out to his right, looks to his left, gets it away, and a tackle is made after the completed pass to Dembski. Stubblefield was able to wrap him up, and that will bring up 3rd down for Winnipeg on their first possession of the ball game.
And I think that's the first time that I felt like Dalton Schoen was a real decoy, because they were running a little underneath route that time, across the middle from Dembski, over the top. The second read looked like it was going to be a dig route, 18 yards or so, breaking towards the middle of the field from Schoen, and Schoen just didn't have any burst in his lower body. It just went with the easy completion underneath. Not a bad possession for Winnipeg to finish with a kick here.
Sergio Castillo back in the big game with the Bombers, went 5 for 5 in the Grey Cup a couple of years ago. He'll start with a 25-yard field goal attempt to get Winnipeg on the board, and he strokes it right down the middle as the Blue Bombers put up 3 on the opening drive of the ball game.
Cody Fajardo in control for this Montreal offense, headed out onto the field. We'll see what they can create. But certainly for Zach Collaro, say not exactly the most aggressive of opening drives.
Bombers on top early. Welcome back to the 110th Grey Cup on the TSN Radio Network. Winnipeg Blue Bombers drive the field largely in the hands of Brady Oliveira, 32 yards on 4 carries. They do get a field goal from Castillo. They lead 3-0. Dustin Neilson and Marshall Ferguson with you. Opportunity here to finally get a look at what the Montreal Alouettes are going to be able to do offensively.
Yeah, we've been waiting on this. This has been the discussion. I mean, I think as much as it's about Collaros being able to protect the football, keep it away from the Montreal defense, as he just did, going 3 for 3 for 17 yards on the opening drive, it's really much more about how aggressive is Cody Fajardo going to be, how quickly can they get Austin Mack involved, and what can William Stanback do tonight for the Alouettes attack.
Try to get him established early here?
They haven't much this year.
No, that's what I wonder. Stanback will stand in. Fajardo does give it to him. Stanback wrapped up after a pickup of about 4 yards on that first down carry.
They do try to get him going a little bit early downhill, but a lot of bodies in the backfield. You have to think they're going to use some variations, some substitution packages throughout the night, try to throw some confusion, some different looks at the Winnipeg defense, coached by Richie Hall. That time James Tuck, the fullback, comes in on first down, and now on second he checks out.
3 yards to stand back on first down, 2nd and 7 for Fajardo, creeping up towards midfield. 4-man rush. Fajardo flushed out of the pocket on the run to his right. Will he keep it? He's going to throw, almost intercepted. Evan Holm had a glorious opportunity to take that one away from Fajardo.
Add another knockdown to the total on the season for Evan Holm. Teams have been going after him since the very first snap of the year that you were calling in the Winnipeg home debut. He's been knocking it away. Not a great start for Cody Fajardo here. He wanted to get it to Tyson Philpott on a bit of a skinny post, then Tyson breaks it off. They go scramble rules, and he's not able to find him accurately, incomplete.
Should he just taken that one?
Just take it early, as quickly as possible, get it to Tyson Philpott.
3rd and 7 on the 43. Zima kicks us away. Not a great kick. That was into the wind. Grant will pick it up in pretty good field position for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers as they are about to get the ball back. Settled for 3 on their first possession, but they do have an early lead here at the 110th Grey Cup. Welcome back to the 110th Grey Cup in Hamilton at Tim Hortons Field. Dustin Neilson and Marshall Ferguson taking you through the early stages, about midway through the first quarter. And it is Winnipeg on top 3-0. People were expecting a low-scoring game. Collaros starts the game 3 of 3 for 17 yards, and Brady Oliveira already over 30 yards here. More of the same with Brady on this drive, you would think?
Yeah, I'd have to think so. And I think for Montreal, the thing that's a little bit concerning early on is that obviously you decide to defer. The football goes to Winnipeg. They move down the field. You get your first possession. The Alouettes have only gone 2 and out 32% of their possessions this year. That's third best in the CFL. What we just saw there in the biggest game of the year in their first possession, they just don't do that very much. They stay on the field. They haven't been able to finish drives much when they get down in the score zone, but they don't get kicked off the field after 2 plays. They did to kick this one off.
That Montreal offense, 26 possessions in the regular season against Winnipeg, and was not able to score a touchdown. 3 options to the left, 3 to the right here for Collaros. Near side, that's his running back, Oliveira. He's hammered immediately, but he hangs on to the ball, paid the price, courtesy Deontay Ruffin.
And they were running Kenny Lawler on a little corner route that time, emptied it out. You called it, Dusty. They go 3 by 3. Oliveira hangs out by the sideline, hooks it up as the release route. Deontay Ruffin is out there, so you know it's zone because they didn't chase with a linebacker. He sees it cleanly. Collaros looks vertical to short, gets it out of his hand. Completion and a good chunk on first down.
A perfect start to the game for Collaros. And now they're sitting in a second and very reasonable 2. Prukop into the game. Dakota Prukop, oh, he's got it easy. Almost broke free, but they'll throw him back down on that CFL logo planted at midfield here at Tim Hortons Field.
And you gotta love that if you're the Bombers up front, being able to get that push. The idea of being able to just dominate the line of scrimmage, if that's going to be a consistent theme throughout tonight, Montreal is in tough up front. Armando Sewell's got to play a huge role in this. Mustafa Johnson, the other defensive tackle, one of the best interior pass rushers that the CFL has over the last 2 seasons, but he's in tough tonight against a really physical interior offensive line from the Bombers.
Fresh set of downs on the Montreal 50. This time handed off again. And that one, short pickup into Dembski. Good sign here that Dembski's okay.
Yeah.
They've moved him around a little bit in the offense already.
Yeah, absolutely. They're trying to find different ways to get him the football. I asked him at the start of this week on Media Day, are you more proud of your ability to score or the multiplicity that you bring to your game? He said, man, I love that everybody knows on any play I can get the football anywhere on the field. Yeah. He loves the ways that they use him. Buck Pierce, offensive coordinator, has been extremely creative with him.
Got to be a nightmare for DCs, eh? Like, what do you do when Dembski's running around out there? He'll line up in the slot to the left of Collaros. Brady Oliveira directly to the left of his quarterback. Collaros with time down the field, drops it in inside the 25. Kenny Lawler gets involved, and it comes courtesy a big chunk from Collaros.
And that is Zach Collaros at his very best. A little bit of fake pressure from the left side for Collaros. He sees it, they drop out into zone. He waits on Lawler to clear Wesley Sutton, the halfback, and fits it perfectly into the window.
Wasting no time here, back to Brady Oliveira, got a block, keeps those legs churning, and he's got another first down for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, who are slicing through this Montreal defense.
And Brady looks locked in right now. I mean, he is downhill all the time, and they go back to the line of scrimmage quickly with another first down. Why wouldn't you when Brady's running like this?
4 options out to the wide side right for Collaros. Pressure in his face. They'll get there and take him down. First sack of the game. Who else? Sean Lemon gets there for the Alouettes.
I'll sack them both, he said, in the Eastern Semi against the Hamilton Tiger Cats. He got 2. He got 1 last week in the East Final. He's got another here in the Grey Cup for Sean Lemon, flying off the edge, a 3-game sack streak at the best time of the year in the CFL.
They wouldn't be here without this addition, would they? He came in and was just a monster from the very beginning.
13 sacks, amazing, coming in after he was signed July 24th, so late in the season.
3-yard loss sets up a 2nd and 13. Collaros has some time this time. Lots of time. Nowhere to go with that ball. Now he escapes on the run to his left. Collaros still going, and eventually they'll take him down. What coverage downfield. The flag is thrown. Contact to the quarterback's head, I believe. but that'll get sorted out. Zach could not find anybody to throw that ball to.
Yeah, Zach got rolled up a little bit at the end of the play, has his helmet off right now as it looks like his chin strap got popped off by the contact. We'll get another look at it here from the TV copy, but yeah, I mean, they were trying to get Nick Dembski on a little in and up. They love that so much when they get down inside the 10 or 15 yard line. Just couldn't do it, and Jason Moss not happy with this one.
Number 94, half the distance goal, automatic first down.
Mustafa Johnson tagged with the flag. What do you think, Marsh?
Yeah, I got him up around the head.
Yeah.
I mean, it's forcible contact to the head and neck area. Looks like he was wrapping his arm around trying to get to the football, but on the way through his head to the football, they're going to call that every time.
Montreal had only taken 6 penalties so far in the playoffs in those 2 games. This is a big one here because Winnipeg would have been forced. A little chip shot from Castillo. Instead, it's a fresh set at the Alouettes 5. They'll give it to the running back, pushing ahead, and he's in. Touchdown, Winnipeg! Brady Oliveira to the end zone as his spectacular season continues.
Most outstanding Canadian. Could have been the MOP. A lot of people in Winnipeg believe he was the most outstanding player in the Canadian Football League this year. They hold the backside defensive end with a little end-around motion from another outstanding Canadian in Nick Dembski, just enough to give a running lane to Brady Oliveira, and it's right behind Patty Neufeld and Jamarcus Hardrick sealing down that left-hand side. Reggie Stubblefield can't get there in time, and the Bombers extend their lead.
Brady Oliveira, not surprising, the first to find the end zone today. And Winnipeg in control of this game early on. 3 points on the first drive of the ball game. They get it back, and they've taken it down the field. Punched in 6 more, and Castillo 1 more, and that is good. Winnipeg leads 10-0 late in the first quarter. A long way to go for the Montreal Alouettes, but Brady Oliveira establishing himself in a dominant way here early in the 110th Grey Cup on TSN Radio. Welcome back to the radio coverage of the 110th Grey Cup on the TSN Radio Network. Dustin Neilson and Marshall Ferguson with you. It has been established here in the early going that the Winnipeg Blue Bombers came to play. They just wrapped up an 8-play, 66-yard drive that took over 4 minutes. And the Montreal Alouettes, they did not fluke their way here. They have looked really good as of late, but at some point you're going to have to answer early.
And the way that Montreal has been able to win these playoff games is the splashy plays, specifically defensively. But you just knew that the antidote for what Montreal does defensively, trying to create turnovers, trying to get defensive scores, big special teams plays, be it returns, they go for a touchdown or more than 30 yards, is that you have an offense in Winnipeg that just wants to punch you in the face the entire night, and that is not something that Montreal is necessarily built to be able to endure. They had their opportunity before Mustafa Johnson takes the penalty. Could have held them to 3. It's a major instead for Brady Oliveira. 10-0 Bombers.
Pretty quick pace to the first quarter here. Green Day looming at halftime here in Hamilton. Great week of music in the Hammer. Castillo boots it away. Ledger Waits takes it at the 12. Now back up to the 30. 33 before he is wrapped up by Brian Cole on the special teams tackle. Take one more quick break, come back with the rest of the first quarter. Cody Fajardo about to get the ball, trailing 10-0 early. Welcome back to Hamilton, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us here. 110th Grey Cup. Dustin Neilson, Marshall Ferguson with you. Ace stats man, John Perlberg with us.
Pearly!
Up in the booth, passing this along. You just said, what's Montreal have to do? Well, time of possession so far is 11 minutes for Winnipeg and 1 minute and 20 seconds for the Montreal Alouettes. They got to keep the offense on the field.
Well, this is the biggest concern when you go 2 and out is that Winnipeg starts to wear down your defense, because if you're Darnell Sankey, Mustafa Johnson, Armando Sewell in the middle, you can fight as long as you want throughout the evening, but when you're having to play 50, 60, 65, 70 snaps, and you're getting a whole bunch of run right at you, that wears you out over time. So Montreal needs to do their defense a favor here offensively, and Cody's got to complete some passes on this drive.
Just 3 yards of offense so far in the ball game for the underdogs here in the 110th Grey Cup. Fajardo out to Philpott. Philpott looking for a block. Got one. Takes it outside the 40, and he'll be stopped just shy, I believe, of a Montreal first down.
I like the call that time from Jason Moss out to Anthony Calvillo working in this Montreal offensive coaching staff. He show run out to the right-hand side, flip it back, quick little smoke screen Out to the wide side there to Tyson Philpott. Get him into rhythm. Try to get Cody an easy completion. And now we see Sean Jamieson check into the ball game. Good to see him back in the lineup here after missing a big chunk this season.
Bring in the big package here. 2nd and inches, essentially. Evans into the game at quarterback to take care of business for the Montreal Alouettes. We already saw his counterpart on the other side, Dakota Prukop, pick up a first down in a 2nd and short situation. Evans keeps it straight up the middle. That'll be enough. And Montreal has a first down for the first time in the game.
What I want to see here from this Montreal offense is you can script completions for Cody Fajardo. You can find ways like that quick screen to get the football out of his hands on time, on target. But the quarterback running game has to be part of the plan here tonight as well. 100 rushing yards on 9 carries in the playoffs. They were saving them all year long. They didn't call that all season. They've started to do it more. I think if they want to control a little bit more of that time of possession, Cody running the football and getting those easy scripted completions has to be a big part.
And you're talking by design, running the football, not Cody taking off when he's under pressure, which he will be a few times. Pump fake, now down the field, over the middle for Mack, and he goes up and gets it. Excellent coverage, but it wasn't good enough. Austin Mack with a big one, and the Alouettes are in business.
And my old quarterback soul is leaning back and saying, no, Cody, no! As he's throwing that one, because you could see it coming the whole way. A little in-breaking route about 15, 20 yards down the field. Dietrich Nichols was all over it in coverage. Nichols has 12 knockdowns on the year, but 7 contested catches for Austin Mack. Leads the Montreal Alouettes. He adds an 8th.
Spectacular play by Mack, basically taking that away from the outreached arm of Nichols. Now they'll hand it off. A little bit of space, some room, down to the 10, 5 towards the end zone, he's in! Touchdown Alouettes! What a run by William Stanback! And Montreal has their answer.
Get the diesel churning. That's exactly what the Alouettes need. If William Stanback's going to be able to turn on the Jets like that and show a gear he hasn't much of this season, Montreal can absolutely stay in this game late in the first quarter. You have an answer like that. Fajardo gets a couple easy completions. You get a contested catch over the middle from Mack. The energy's back in the building for Alouettes fans, and Stanback's running away from Brandon Alexander to the end zone.
It was about 2 minutes ago we said, what do they have to do? Well, a big chunk over the middle to Mack, and then 32 yards for number 31 to the end zone. And the Alouettes probably, I would think, stunning the Bombers' defense here a little bit.
Sending a message, unquestionably, like to be able to come out like that. I don't even think they were in the heavy team that time, Dustin. I mean, they basically ran that from a 4-5 receiver set all the way to the outside. But the burst from Stanback, much of this year, you thought coming back from injury in 2022, he would be the focus of this offense. He really hasn't been much of the year, but he shows up in the biggest moment as they're taking a look at whether or not he crossed the goal line before his elbow was down.
Looked like he did, didn't it?
Yeah, it looks pretty clear from here. It looks like he was leaning to the left-hand side again, ran away from Brandon Alexander. Evan Holm came over and helped, but they tried to wrap up the legs, but 31 with the ball trying to get punched out, just kept driving, and looks like he got all the way home.
Stanback, quiet last week, 15 yards, but in the East semifinal, he actually put together a really nice game.
And obviously it is where the football is at the point where the elbow is down, so it looks like it's pretty much straight down the line. You think this would be clear. They did call a touchdown on the field.
The look that we're getting here in the booth, it does look like his elbow goes down right on the line, and the ball's already ahead of him at that point, right? I'm surprised that this is taking as long as it is taking.
Tyler Sneed and Cole Speaker, best seats in the house. Alouettes receivers, both with their arms in the air, chasing down William Stanback as he continued to drive towards the left cone here at Tim Hortons Field, right in front of the Bombers bench.
Well, after an 8-play, 66-yard drive that ended in a Brady Oliveira touchdown, if this TD does stand up,
the ruling on the field stands. It's
and it does. A 4-play, 77-yard response in just 2.5 minutes by the Montreal Alouettes.
Stanback 2 touchdowns on the regular season. Think about that. 2 touchdowns the entire regular season as your starting running back. The Alouettes did not have very many rushing touchdowns this year. 14, that's just 5th in the CFL. But again, showing up in the biggest moment has been the story of their playoff success.
And the Montreal Alouettes at the end of the first quarter. Have life. We've got a great game locked and loaded for you here in the 110th Grey Cup on the TSN Radio Network.